members of the press, please.
Assistance that we receive from your countries and organizations. We don't take these for granted, and extremely grateful to you for that. This briefing, I think it's the second one that we've done since the first mandate. I thought it was right and proper to engage again with what is essentially this ministry's constituency, and a very valuable and valued constituency you are. And to give you an overview of how we see things and what's going on, the direction of our foreign policies, what we stand for, the principles of this country, and what we seek to achieve, and identify areas of cooperation between yourselves, your countries, and our country. A small overview, as many of you I'm sure know already, during the first term, the priorities of the government were basically a tripod, three pillars: of security, the fight against corruption, and job creation. And under security, the challenges that we faced is, of course, fighting against terrorism. And in this context, the ECOWAS community has agreed to a fund, $1 billion fund, raising $1 billion from within the sub-region to fight terrorism. And of course, we've had other security challenges such as pipeline sabotage that in the past, but very progressive, proactive policies by the government through the amnesty program and other interventions has meant that has abated to a significant extent. Piracy is an issue. Of course, there's the Gulf of Guinea organization that seeks to have all the Gulf of Guinea states coming together to address, among other things, this issue of piracy and kidnappings, farmer-herder conflicts, the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, human trafficking, irregular migration. These are all challenges, security challenges that we face, and that this government is determined to address definitively. Fight against corruption, an important aspect of that for us is illicit financial flows. Of course, the UN adopted a resolution with regards to illicit financial flows. We suffer hugely from that illegal cross-border transfer of huge resources, and also internal leakages. And the president, as you all know, was declared the champion, the anti-corruption champion by the African Union. And a lot has been done in the area of sensitization and institution building to address issues of corruption. Job creation, the economy, of course, that third and very important, well, they're all important, pillar. Here suffering high levels of unemployment, poverty, inflation, and over-dependence on a single commodity. So essentially a mono-economy that we've had. And the humanitarian crisis that also aggravated that situation. And here again, a number of measures, the economic growth and recovery plan put in place to address this situation, create wealth. There's a presidential enabling business environment council chaired by the vice president to help to stimulate investment into the country and promote investment and ease of doing business, make it easier to do business. So that's really the priorities and the base from which we're now coming into the second term mandate of Mr. President. And this second mandate, we have 9 priorities areas that the government has identified, and these are to guide policy direction over the next 4 years. And one is building a thriving and sustainable economy, then enlarging agricultural output for food security and export, attain energy sufficiency in power and petroleum products, expand transport and other infrastructure development, expand business growth, entrepreneurship and industrialization, expand access to quality education, affordable health care and productivity of Nigerians, enhance social inclusion, reduce poverty, build systems to fight corruption, improve governance, and create social cohesion, and improve security for all. In the area of foreign policy, where does our foreign policy thrust grow from all this? Clearly, our position is that a realistic foreign policy should reflect domestic realities. So you could also call it a Nigeria first policy, but that would not be very original, because I think somebody else might want to claim the copyright on using first for a country having interest promotion foreign policy. But basically, it is going to be a Nigeria first foreign policy. If we adopt a concentric circle methodology, we can say that our first priority are our contiguous neighbors. These are Benin, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger. These are countries that we share borders with. With them, we are allies in the battle to defeat terrorism. It's an existential battle, and also, you know, the borders separating our countries are artificial borders imposed by outsiders arbitrarily in most of the cases. And, you know, so you have families on either sides of the borders. So essentially, with those 4 countries, same blood flows through our veins, and are essentially, you know, families across the borders. So, you know, we have to maintain good relations with those countries. Border closure from time to time notwithstanding. At the sub-regional level, ECOWAS, we're fully committed to sub-regional integration, and that's a constant theme for us in Africa, and not just a mantra. We are fully committed to sub-regional integration. The security, social, economic, political, and judicial building blocks are well established, and the integration program is a process, is progressing steadily. So we can see within ECOWAS we are supporting all those building blocks and institutional mechanisms to reinforce the integration process. And of course, we see that we are moving steadily towards possibly even a single currency in the not too distant future. And but we also put a lot of store on good governance in the sub-region, democracy, and human rights protection. This is a sub-regional level, an overview of our position. At the African continental level, we also fully subscribe to the African Union vision of an integrated Africa. And here too, we are extremely supportive and engaged in the putting in place adequate security architecture, the economic building blocks, and of course we know that there's now the African Continental Free Trade Agreement in place. The political architecture, judicial and social institutions that are all part of the building block for an ever greater integration of Africa. And but here again, we support and promote within the AU good governance, democracy, and the protection of human rights. At the global level, we're very proud of the fact that we're not in any kind of conflict with any country in the world. And this is something that gives us great satisfaction. We have excellent relations with every member state of the African Union and the United Nations. And we believe firmly in our foreign policy that peaceful coexistence and security are preconditions for economic development and prosperity. We believe that the United Nations and multilateralism are forces for good. We strongly support the United Nations, and although we call for its reform, especially to increase the numbers of the permanent members of the Security Council to include at least 3 African countries with veto powers. We appreciate that this will require a lot of negotiations and is not in any way a given, but there is the Ezewini position, and this is the official African position. We also strongly believe that more funds should be made available for UN peacekeeping operations. Unfortunately, the largest number of conflicts are taking place on the African continent, and this is why the 2063 agenda, African Union Agenda for Africa, has as one of its key objectives, desiderata, silencing of the guns. And 2020 was actually the year that African heads of state committed themselves to silencing the guns on the continent. But there are a number of UN peacekeeping operations across the continent, and doing a lot of very good work, and we believe very much and push for greater funding for these. Not all the countries believe in that, which is why we also need your support, your country's support, to make this happen. We believe that all countries should respect and abide by United Nations resolutions, and that no country should be allowed to pick and choose which resolutions to respect and which resolutions not to respect, and also that countries should not be selective in targeting countries with regards to respecting resolutions, but that all countries must respect all resolutions of the UN, and this is something that we are absolutely committed to. And we also very much condemn the use of force, or the threat of the use of force, as an instrument for the settlement of disputes, and strongly support institutions such as the International Court of Justice, the International Criminal Court, regional courts, and the United Nations itself for international conflict resolution. We are proud as a country that, though very painful it was to us, we accepted the judgment of the International Court of Justice and ceded a part of our territory, part of our country, to Cameroon. So the Dean and I can be very good friends also. That's a good side effect of that. The former U.S. President, Bill Clinton's presidential campaign strategist in 1992, James Carville, he said, "It's the economy, stupid." Some of you might remember that catchphrase that a lot of people felt transformed the elections on that occasion. And we in Nigeria are not stupid. We know that economy is an indisputable way to indicate growth and success. So with a population moving towards 200 million, the 200 million mark, and projected to reach about 400 million by 2050, making us then projected the third most populous country in the world, we have to expand our trade with all the countries of the world. We have to innovate and we have to industrialize to lift our people out of poverty. So international trade and economic diplomacy are the main focus of our foreign policy. We're striving to increase bilateral trade with all your countries, very often within the framework of binational commissions. And at the sub-regional level, of course, we have ECOWAS, and I referred to the border closure issues earlier. It's something that we hope to have resolved very soon, and we believe that it will be a win-win for all the countries concerned as a result, addressing issues such as illegal transfers of small arms and light weapons and other acts of criminality and so forth. And it will encourage and promote sub-regional trade once all those issues have been definitively addressed. At the continental level, of course, we have the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And we believe that is going to be a game changer for Africa, probably the largest economic grouping in the world. And we fully, as a country, having now acceded to that treaty, intend to take advantage of it to promote growth, economic growth for our country. At the global level, we have the World Trade Organization, the WTO, and we strongly support and subscribe to the global rule-based system that is administered by the WTO and which has inbuilt a dispute resolution mechanism. And we believe, subscribe fully to free trade and the reduction in trade barriers and tariffs and the like, and believe in the total promotion of access to markets. In this context, in the Foreign Ministry, we are building an online business matching portal to promote and facilitate cross-border trade and investment with the Foreign Ministry, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, playing a pivotal role in facilitating this business matching across borders. And in this context, I would like to express our profound gratitude to DFID of the United Kingdom that has helped, provided some material support to the team, the project team for this, and also the Chinese government that has also given us some support to push this project along. We are also victims of the catastrophic effect of climate change and are therefore fully engaged with global climate action. Lake Chad, which was a source of livelihood for almost 30 million people, has shrunk by about 90%. And a possible solution, of course, to that real catastrophe would be to recharge it from the Ubangi River, which flows from the Central African Republic through the two Congos into the Atlantic. This would be extremely capital intensive, so we are looking for funds, first of all, for feasibility study, and then ultimately to effect the water transfer, and looking at various partners to come on board to help us with that. And it could be a public-private initiative that might be the best mechanism to bring that about. An issue that looms large in the relationship between our country and the European countries, of course, is the issue of irregular migration. We do not at all condone irregular migration, and are taking all the measures possible to address the situation. And we understand that there are certain steps, conditions that we are responsible for addressing greater economic prosperity in our country, education, vocational training, and a lot of these we are undertaking in the framework of our economic growth and recovery plans, social investment measures, and jobs for the youth and so forth. But there's a lot more we need to do. And so we know that the push factor is strong, and we really have to work hard on the pull factor, and a lot of that we're also cooperating with a number of your countries and the European Union itself, looking at initiatives to keep more of our youth here, and then also to provide for those that would eventually have to return. But we also support the UN Global Compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration, and and feel strongly about the obligation to treat migrants with dignity and ensuring that they can access basic services, and where possible, make it also possible to stay in countries if they acquire certain skills and can be of benefit to the economies of those countries. We're also fully supportive of the UN resolution on the promotion of international cooperation to combat illicit financial flows and strengthen good practices on asset returns to foster sustainable development. This is the long title of the UN resolution on illicit financial flows, and working hard with with countries to implement the provisions of that resolution, and happy to and thank a number of your countries for the assistance that we are receiving in trying to locate and restitute, in many cases, huge sums of money that have been illegally stashed in foreign countries. And as we talk about pull factors,
taking everybody's picture back one time.